Hello and welcome to Gender Perspectives. This is a show where we unpack the issues that shape identity, challenge norms, and drive change. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha, and today we are diving into a topic that affects every generation. Yet it remains one of the most debated both in education and public policy. Now we'll look at that right after this break.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. You're still watching Gender Perspectives. Now, in a world where information is just a click away, are our young people truly learning what they need to know? From consent and contraception to identity and emotional well-being, are we preparing them to make safe, informed, and respectful choices? Are our outdated curriculums, cultural taboos, and even political battles leaving too many in the dark? Well, today we ask the question, are we getting it right when it comes to sexual health education? Now, sexual health education is more than just a school subject. It's a foundation for lifelong well-being. It equips young people with the knowledge, the attitudes and skills they need to make responsible decisions about their bodies, their relationships, and even their futures. But across countries and cultures, the question remains, what exactly are we teaching and who decides? Well, let's listen to the background report for more information.
Sex education, also known as sexual education, sexuality education, or sex ed, is the instruction of issues relating to human sexuality, including human sexual anatomy, sexual activity, sexual reproduction, safe sex, birth control, sexual health, reproductive health, emotional relations, emotional responsibilities, age of consent, and reproductive rights. In many cultures, the discussion of all sexual issues has traditionally been considered taboo, and adolescents were not given any information on sexual matters. Such instruction, as was given, was traditionally left to a child's parents, and often this was put off until just before their marriage. Evidence shows that a combination of comprehensive sexuality education and access to birth control appears to decrease the rates of unintended pregnancies among teenagers. Research has also shown that delay in sexual initiation and the use of condoms and other contraception have been a result of young people adopting egalitarian attitudes towards gender roles. These individuals were also found to be less likely to engage in violent relationships and to have a lower rate of STIs, including HIV, and unintended pregnancy. By emphasizing rights and gender issues, these programs help reduce gender-based violence and bullying, promote safe schools, empower young people to advocate for their own rights, and advance gender equality. Sexual health education is more than a lesson in biology, it is a human rights issue, a gender justice issue, and a powerful tool for shaping equitable societies. Understanding how sexual health education reinforces or challenges gender norms is essential to advancing equality, dignity, and autonomy for all. Globally, there are two dominant approaches to sexual health education: comprehensive sexuality education, CSE, and abstinence-only education, AOE. CSE is holistic, it covers not only reproductive biology but also gender identity, sexual orientation, consent, relationships, and rights. It empowers young people, male and female, to understand their bodies, make informed decisions, and stand up against discrimination and violence. In contrast, abstinence-only education promotes silence around sexuality and often excludes critical topics such as contraception and gender-based violence. This model reinforces harmful gender norms, particularly around female purity and male dominance, while failing to equip youth with the knowledge they need to stay safe and assert their rights. Evidence consistently shows that comprehensive sexuality education is far more effective in achieving both health and gender outcomes. It helps delay sexual activity, reduces rates of unintended pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections, and improves communication and decision-making in relationships. Importantly, it also fosters respect, equality, and bodily autonomy. Human rights issues, gender equality, and gender roles should be integrated into every aspect of these discussions. This includes human rights protection, fulfillment and empowerment, the impact of gender discrimination, the importance of equality and gender sensitivity, and the ideas underlying gender roles. Sexual abuse, gender-based violence, and harmful practices should also be discussed. Taken together, all this information teaches young people the life skills necessary to assume responsibility for their own behavior and to respect the rights of others. Comprehensive sexuality education enables young people to make informed decisions about their sexuality and health. These programs build life skills and increase responsible behaviors, and because they are based on human rights principles, they help advance human rights, gender equality, and the empowerment of young people. Yet implementation remains uneven. In many regions, including parts of Africa and Asia, sociocultural norms and political resistance limit the scope of what can be taught. Teachers often lack training in gender-sensitive delivery, and curricula may exclude the lived experiences of girls and those with disabilities. Even in countries with supportive policies, schools may fall short due to stigma, underfunding, or parental pressure. Sex education may be taught informally, such as when someone receives information from a conversation with a parent, friend, religious leader, or through the media. It may also be delivered through sex self-help authors, magazine advice columnists, sex columnists, or sexual education discussion board websites. Sex education training for parents and educators can also be accessed on the internet through multimedia educational resources, including short videos, created by master sexuality educators. These gaps are not just educational, they are structural. When girls are denied information about their bodies and boys are taught to associate masculinity with control, we reinforce systems of inequality that extend into health, education, and justice. By providing children and young people with adequate knowledge about their rights and what is and is not acceptable behavior, sexuality education makes them less vulnerable to abuse. Children and young people should also be taught what to do and where to go if problems like violence and abuse occur. Through such an approach, sexuality education improves children's and young people's ability to react to abuse, to stop abuse and, finally, to find help when they need it. To get it right, sexual health education must be grounded in gender equity, inclusion, and empowerment. This means ensuring content is age-appropriate, medically accurate, and inclusive of all. It also means equipping teachers with the tools to challenge gender norms and creating safe spaces for honest, shame-free conversations. Society needs to provide young people with honest, age-appropriate information they need to live healthy lives and build healthy relationships, and young people need to take personal responsibility for their health and well-being. Advocates must also work to dismantle barriers to sexual health, including poverty and lack of access to health care. Ultimately, sexual health education.
We are local.
The international community is observing
Just finished taking
When the main market is in chaos, people
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Welcome back. Now, when it comes to sexual health education, for some, this means abstinence-only messaging, which is often tied to, religious or cultural values. And now for others, it's a comprehensive approach that covers everything from anatomy and contraception to consent and healthy relationships. Now, too often, what students learn depends not on science or even global health standards, but on geography, politics, and social norms. Now, in some communities, some young people are empowered with accurate, inclusive, and age-appropriate information. And in others, they are left with silence, shame, or even at worst, misinformation. Now, earlier on, we had a conversation with Mrs. Ijoma Okpe. She's a Rotarian, she's a mentor to young boys and an advocate for women and girls, and she's also a voice against gender-based violence. Let's take a listen. Enjoy. Thank you for joining us on the program. It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. Now, our conversation obviously is on sexual health education and if we're actually getting it right. Now, before we look at the other aspects of this, what exactly is sexual health education?
Okay. Thank you. Talking about sexual health education, it's all encompassing. It has to do with a lot of things. Like you said, it has its both social, cultural, religious perspective, and so on and so forth. Apart from the science aspect of it, talking about, let us talk about the children, maybe the foundational stages of our kids, how to groom them to become adults in this society that are well knowledgeable about sexual education and about their body mechanism, sexual components of their body and things like that, and how to get it right when you talk about it, because a lot of things are happening in the society today where maybe the achievements of the children will be truncated at a stage, or the boy child or the girl child, because of a lack of proper information about sexual education. Let me give an instance. Maybe a girl who is not properly informed sexually may conceive. She may become pregnant at a stage in her life. Maybe at the time she's supposed to be in the school, she has become pregnant and she doesn't know what to do with herself. And maybe the parents are not well informed too. They may just decide to throw the girl away, and then maybe the child may go into depression. She may give birth to a child, her education, her life may just be truncated and things like that, because they are not well informed. So that is just an aspect of it, or an aspect where a child contracts disease or something like that. An aspect where whether a boy or a girl, it could be any of them that could contract a disease or something like that. So, but when we have this sexual education, both gender, both the male and the female, they are able to know better about themselves and know how to take care of themselves to become good adults.
All right, but who are the people that we would say are responsible for or are in charge of actually teaching this comprehensive and well-informed sex education?
Everybody is involved. The parents, you know, education first starts at home. The parents, they have a huge responsibility here to teach their children. But you find out that certain norms will not allow the parents. No, it's difficult to see parents who will sit their children down to teach them about sex. It's very, very difficult. And that is why a number of times children, when that thing you don't teach them at home, they go outside definitely, and they have their peers, peer group influence. They may go and learn something that is negative. They may learn it the negative way, and before you know it, the child is already into trouble. So the parents have a duty to play, both the father, the mother, older members of the society, maybe the relatives. The church has a role to play. The community, they have a role to play. And then policy makers. So the government itself, they have a role to play. So strictly speaking, I say that the society at large, we all have one role or the other to play in educating both the boy and the child, the girl.
But do we also find situations whereby in the process of giving sex education, we find situations where some topics are left out? Sure. And then some topics are just the only things that are being discussed.
That's right.
So can you just like throw more light on that so that we know what those things are?
Yeah, like in the school, we have an aspect of sex education that was introduced sometime in maybe you see in social studies, and then biology, health education. These are some of the subjects that you can find aspects of this sex education. They just pick certain aspects of this and leave out the rest, because a lot of people will certainly cry out. I know that there are some textbooks in English, I think is a New Concept English, that has some comprehension that deals on sex education. And I know the kind of criticism that so many people are bringing up because of that. So they didn't want the children, the society, I don't know, the tradition or some norms, some culture, they don't want to unveil certain aspect of this sexual education. For instance, it's difficult to hear people, when you hear like somebody say the word penis, it's like a taboo. Or mentioning the word vagina, it's like a taboo. But we need to teach these children. A girl child needs to be taught that this is my private part, is my vagina. This is the function of the vagina. The child needs to know that this vagina, when you are teaching the child, that no person should touch her vagina. She should know that. You should teach her. Not when you cover up a lot of things so that you don't mention it. It looks at, is shrouded in a kind of, I don't know what to say, whether to say a mystery or something like that. Yes. You don't mention it. You don't mention certain parts of the body. It should be mentioned, and their roles should be explicit. Let them know, so that the child will easily know when she or he is into danger. So that is the thing. So a lot of things, even in religious circle, you find out that when they are, some teachings in the churches, they try to shy away from certain things, saying certain things that are so obvious. And because we don't say those obvious things, these children go behind. This is the era of technology. The Gen Zs, as we call them, they learn a lot of things from the internet. This phone that we carry about, it has done more harm than good. All those things we think we are hiding from the children, they see it and they learn it. Before you know it, they even see and know more than you think you know yourself.
But why do you think that, like you said, you spoke about people kicking against a particular book because of the explicit, description of body parts and what sex education basically, and people kicking against it. Now, why do you think that people are kicking against it, particularly in our society? They're always covering.
Because our people, they think that we need a kind of a reorientation, because our people think that by letting the children know some of those things, that they will go wild. But the truth is that by concealing, by hiding such information, they now are more inquisitive to know. This age is an age, a generation that is so inquisitive. They want to know. You cover something and tell the child, please, don't go to this thing, I have covered something. The child wants to know what is inside that thing that you are covering. Why is mommy or daddy asking me not to open this thing? And the child will go to open it. In your absence, he wants to open it to know what is inside. So it's better you tell him what is actually inside and why you have covered it. Maybe there is a pit and you have used some wood to cover it. Let that child know the dangers of falling inside the pit, that the child can be choked up because there won't be enough oxygen when the child falls inside the pit. So that is it.
Yes. Now, let's talk about, age appropriateness of, when to tell some certain things and at what age. Now, what age would you say is too early or too old, to teach some certain things? Let's start from when the child is, still in nursery, then primary, just like that. Let's look at it.
We can start to very early, because evil in society these days starts early. The evil that is meted upon the girl child or the boy child is not only the girls that are abused. Both the boys and the girls are vulnerable, but the girls are more vulnerable. The female gender, they are more vulnerable. So we can start early, but what we teach them depends on their level. It should be according to their level. Like the one that says, there is one song that says, my breast, my breast, my bum, my this, or my whatever, you do not touch. There is a way they put it into a song. Okay. I can't remember exactly. You can teach that at the nursery level, so that the child who is in nursery will know that her breast, you don't touch her breast. You are not her mother that bathes her. You don't touch her breast. So that when a foreigner touches her breast, the child will react immediately. When the child gets into secondary school, you take it higher and higher according to their level. So we can actually start at the nursery level. Put it into nursery rhymes. Let them sing it and know that there are certain parts of their body. Because we have seen a situation where an elderly man abuses a child who's in nursery. Sexual abuse meted on a child, a toddler, or a child who is in nursery 1, nursery 2, or primary school. So if that child has that orientation, basically that she knows that when a man or a boy, a child or an opposite sex does this kind of thing to me, or even the same sex, because there are women who also meet such things on the same gender.
Yes.
So the child will react. Report to your mother, report to your teacher when somebody touches you or something like that. When you see certain things, you report.
Yeah, but do you think that when it comes to orientation, that both girls and boys receive the same type of orientation, like how as it stands now in society, what they teach the girls, the girl child, and what they teach the boy child? Do you think they get the same orientation, or is there some kind of difference in the kind of orientation that they get?
Because I said it that the girls are more vulnerable. I think more attention should be paid to the girl child. But because of our type of, for instance, our type of education system, if we talk about maybe education policies or classroom setting, the boy child and the girl child may be in the same classroom receiving the same lesson. So, but talking about other agencies that also could teach about this sexual health education, talking about the homes, the mother knows that it should be her primary responsibility to take her female children inside and talk to them more. You get the point? Then also the religious leaders in the churches, we have the children's section. In some churches they have children's section. They don't teach everything in the adult, that is the whole congregation before everything. Like when they are talking about adultery, talking about things like that, all those, they may decide not to teach it in the presence of the children. They take them to another classroom where they are taught. So I believe those ones can also take it further, giving more attention to, because the female gender, they are almost always at the receiving end, and they suffer more when a harm is done.
Yeah.
It's the girl child that becomes pregnant,
Yes,
not the boy child. But in terms of contracting a disease, both the male child or the female child can contract a disease. In terms of dropping out of school, it's always the girl that will drop out of school and not the boy. The boy can still remain in school while doing some of those naughty things, but the girl, when the girl takes in, she drops out of school.
Yes, but talking about how the girl child is more vulnerable. Now, don't you think that so much attention is being given on the girl child as regards to this whole sexual education, that is now as if the boy child is being left out, and they are not also giving the necessary orientation they're supposed to receive, particularly when it comes to consent, when it comes to seeking consent, and when it comes to, because I don't know, but like I said, there's so much attention being given to the female, so the boys don't know that they're supposed to have consent before they go further with anything, with anybody, and also know when not to touch somebody in an inappropriate way, when no means no, and all of that. So
okay. Yeah, I think somehow you are right. We have actually given so much attention. I said the girls should be given further attention.
yeah,
I still stand by that. But I also agree that we are not getting it right in the area of the education of the boy child. So, and that's why I so much like what one organization called the Boys Champions. There is an NGO called the Boys Champions, what they are doing. They are rather moving away from that maybe the traditional perspective where the girls, every attention is focused on the girl child. they now try to focus attention both on the girl child and on the boy child,
Okay.
trying to teach the boys so that some of these gender stereotypes, you know, maybe it's only the girls that wash plates,
Yes.
clean clothes, do this, take care of this, cook food, and all those things. In Boys Champions, like I am a mentor to the boys, so we teach them how to cook. So in the process also, we teach them certain things. These are some of the barriers. These are some of the things you don't need to do. You don't need to touch somebody. Even during play, it's not every time without consent. There are certain parts of the person's body you should not touch, even during play. You can't say that because you are a boy, you are playing with another girl, with a girl, you can grab her on her breast. We teach those things at Boys Champions. So I think actually that we should devote more time teaching the boys, because who are those who are always on the offensive in terms of this is the male gender. So we need to catch them young. When they have those teachings early enough in life, they will be able to respect space, that we need space, you know, and each person needs to be respected. Those spaces, they need to be respected. So we need to also focus more attention on teaching the boy child, especially catching them young,
Yes.
before they become adult. Because the boy child who is well knowledgeable today about respecting the girl child is the one who grows up to respect the woman or the wife that he will marry, or the sister that he will have, or his own mother. But the boy child who is not well groomed today will grow up to become an adult who abuses little children, who
Yes.
abuses women, and meets all those kind of dangers on them.
Exactly. Now, do you think that teachers, you know, do you think teachers are should I say, well equipped and well informed enough to deliver comfortable, you know, lessons and teachings for children? Because aside from the home, I mean, the teachers are the next people that children relate with a lot.
Yeah, well, I think we haven't gotten there yet. That's why recently we are clamoring for an all-inclusive education. An inclusive education. Talking about the total education of the child. Not educating them on certain aspects. Maybe they study physics, mathematics, and all those things. We should know how it applies to life experiences and teach the children. So the teachers, they have a lot of role to play, but you find out that a lot of our teachers in Nigeria, we are not equipped. I am a teacher. Most times we are not well properly equipped to handle all those aspects of teaching and learning in our school curriculum. We are not yet there. But recently, with what is happening in Enugu State, with the smart school, introduction of the smart school, and a lot of things, I think Enugu State is coming up in terms of education, and we will definitely have an all-inclusive education where teachers will be properly trained. So the current teachers that we have in our education system, they need reorientation, retraining, because you find out that some teachers, the lesson notes, what they learned so many years ago, like somebody like me who started teaching 37 years ago.
Wow.
The knowledge I had when I was in school, things that happened that time, they are no longer the same thing. There are a lot of changes in the society, and we need to change in our teaching methods, in the content of what the children are being taught, because the society is dynamic. The world has gone global. Knowledge has escalated, and we need to follow the trend to be able to make sure that we get it right.
All right. Now, what would you say about, would you say that, you know, improper or misinformation, you know, when it comes to sex education is one of the leading factors of things like sexual violence and harassment, and the rate of, you know, sexual harassment that we have now?
Well, it's part of it. Improper information is part of it. Then another thing is there is decay in the society, general decay in the society. general decay in the society. People are losing their humanness. That is why somebody can, a mature adult can abuse a toddler sexually. The quest for money. Sometimes I heard that some herbalists or whatever they call them ask them, when you sleep with maybe a teenager or whatever, they will help you. It will help you to get more money. However, they think that can. I don't know how that thing clicks. So it's obvious that misinformation is part of it. Then this general corruption, decay in the society. What is happening in the society, they are part of it. And then I also want to say that the advent of technology is good, but technology has also come with its own evil, because this phone is another thing. When they watch all these movies, watch the phone, the child may not assimilate or to think well that these movies or something are given to you to maybe help to curtail or to forestall certain things they are teaching. They may think that that is the way of life. So when they watch and they see that Kanayo talks about herbalism and things like that, going into all those ritual, you see them going into ritual more than things like that. So that is the thing. So technology is also part of the problem.
Yeah, while we have such, it's not just the lack of proper sexual education. It's
yes,
also all of these other things.
All of these other things.
And
then allowing these children to handle phone at very early stage. You allow a child who is still in secondary school, in primary school. Some parents think that is a show of affluence. You carry iPhone, you give iPhone to your child who is still in primary school, who is still in secondary school. And you don't moderate the way that child uses that phone. That child visits porn sites and some other sites. Whether the child is a girl or a boy, they learn a lot of things from those sites. That is the truth.
That leads to getting wrong information.
Getting wrong information. Yes,
okay.
Getting wrong information. They watch those things and they won't apply it. Because these children, they have a lot of energy in them. When they see all those things, they want to practicalize it.
Yes. Now, when we look at, like we are talking about the youths and the young ones, now what would you say are some of the myths and misconceptions that young people today have around, sex education?
Some of the misconceptions is that some people think that some of the youths, their parents, they did not properly educate them. Some of the misconception is that maybe when you, like for girls, I have heard some girls say that maybe when you touch somebody, that when a boy touches you, you get pregnant.
Yes.
But our parents will not describe to you what they mean by that touch. What does that touch mean? It's a misconception. Some who maybe very young ones, they may say, okay, don't touch me, because when you touch me, I'll become pregnant. That's what my mother said, But the mother did not educate her properly. So if you want to touch the girl or tap her, she may be apprehensive.
Yes.
But when you give her biscuit or sweet and lure her into your room and start doing the other one, the child may keep quiet. When you tell her, don't tell anybody. If you tell anybody, I will stop giving you biscuit. Or if you tell any person, you will die because of this thing that I have done to you. The child will be so afraid and she will keep quiet. But that one is more dangerous than the tapping or touching.
Yes.
You see, it is a misconception. So that is one of the thoughts.
Yes. Now, do you think that parents should have a say, in what is taught to children, especially when they are in school, concerning this? And is there anything that that will be taught and it will be seen as too much for children or students to handle?
Yes. Parents should have a say. There should be a way of bringing parents, because they are part of the system. Parents should be part of it. There should be a way. The policymakers should know how to maybe organize, how do I say it, a public something where parents, the interests of parents should be represented. They should find a way of representing the interests of parents when the contents of our curriculum, when they are being planned. And then talking about if there is something that we could describe as too much to be taught to the children. Yes, you can't come to the classroom and start teaching a child the art of sex.
Yes.
Maybe you can come and put a pornographic video of a man having sexual affair with a woman in the classroom, and you say you are teaching the child sex education. No, that is teaching them too much. There should be boundary.
Yes. And like we said, you mentioned the internet as one of the leading causes, but don't you also think that the internet also has maybe some positive side to it when it comes to this?
Yeah, I already said that when I mentioned technology. Internet is embedded in technology.
Yeah, when you mentioned technology, you mentioned it in the negative, meaning that they have phones and then they go to sites they're not supposed to go to.
No, I said that it has its positive and negative aspects.
Okay, so what are the positive aspects?
Okay, one of the positive aspects I can say about the phone or the internet, a child can learn maybe about good relationship, good social relationship from the internet. Maybe watching activities where people relate on friendly manners, watching teachings, maybe teaching on religious or moral values and things like that. You can get such information from the internet, So knowledge, you can always find knowledge from the internet or from the phone. So that is it. Good information. We can always find good information from the phone. In as much as we have those bad information, we also have good information. All of them are that inside that phone or internet. But the problem now is, how do we control our children? How do we manage these children? How do we supervise? How do we monitor what they are doing? What they are doing at home? You put on the TV, you leave the TV and the channels, even the television, you have certain channels where you can get some information. The child can be misinformed through the TV. So parents, a lot of parents are missing it. They are leaving their roles completely. And then maybe they push the child, pay school fees and push the child to the school. The teacher should take over. The teacher can never do everything. It's not possible. The teacher stays with the child just for a few hours and the child is back home. So you parents, what are you doing? How do you monitor these children? How they use those phones you gave to them?
All right, now let's look at religion and morality, because there seems to be a very thin line between actually giving proper information and then the idea of morality. Oh, this is not in line with faith or religion. And so what role would you say that religion has to play when it comes to information concerning sex education?
Well, most cases, religion, they basically talk about adultery, they talk about fornication and things like that.
Yes.
And then the implication of adultery and the implication of fornication, that when you are a married woman and you sleep with another man or vice versa, you have committed adultery. And the end product is that you go to hellfire. I believe that religious institutions should teach further than that. They should go into teaching of other health implications of all those sexual activities, teaching them at different levels. Like I said, some churches, if you go to some churches, they categorize the congregation, have a children's corner and then the adult congregation, where certain things are taught to them. So also teach them, let them know, because we tend to believe so much what our religious leaders teach us. That is the truth, based on our faith.
Yes.
So we teach them, let them know also the implication of certain things, not just about going to hell or going to heaven. While we are here on earth, what are the implications of this health of sexual activities or sexual behaviors? So we also need to inculcate them in our teachings, in our various churches and religious institutions, organizations.
Yeah, so in your opinion, would you say that avoiding, sex education is doing more harm than good?
Yes, to an extent.
Okay, to what? Explain better.
Yeah, why I say to an extent is, I earlier said that thing you are trying to cover up, not to teach the child will have a way of uncovering it and knowing it. And the child may learn it the negative way. And the child may start applying it the negative way. Before you know it, the child is already in trouble. So I believe that it is better to educate the child than not to educate the child.
Yeah, but some parents will also say that ignorance is better for the child to be ignorant than to know these things, because they are also of the opinion that if they know early, they will also want to practice it early as well.
The truth is that no child is ignorant these days. These Gen Zs, give these children that tablets, even a child who is in nursery, or your phone, leave your phone idle. You see a little baby, you may think that this child is 1 year, 2 years. You see the way the child will manipulate that phone. I don't know actually what is the problem. But this so-called Gen Z generation, something basically, I think their energy the policymaker should find a way of mobilizing this energy and putting it into positive use. That child you think is ignorant is not actually ignorant.
So are you now saying that there should be a shift in the way, for instance, it's not the way the older people were taught? So you're saying, in other words, that the same method should not be used with these younger people? Yes,
of course. You can't use the same method that was used when I was a child. When I was a child, my mother, the first day I saw my menses, my mother almost killed me because my mother didn't go to school. Okay. So when she saw me menstruating, I was sitting down, got up from the chair, and my clothes was soaked with blood. And my mother called me inside and said, "What is this?" I didn't know what it means. My mother never taught me anything about menstruation and things like that. So my mother, her own little knowledge, because she wasn't educated, she felt that the only person who menstruates is a woman who has slept with a man, who has had sexual relationship with a man. Yes. So you can't say the same thing. Like me, my only girl, I taught her. Before she was age 9, I started teaching her about menstruation, teaching her changes in her body.
All right, I hope we enjoyed that conversation with Mrs. Ijoma Okwe. And now it is time for one of our most revealing segments where we separate, science from speculation, the truth from the taboos. Now, when it comes to sexual health, there is no shortage of misinformation. And some of it comes from outdated textbooks. Some of it is passed down through whispers, rumors, or social media. And sometimes, let's face it, we just never had the chance to learn the real facts. So let's watch and learn. All right, now sexual health education is about much more than biology or behavior. It's about dignity, it's about knowledge, and giving young people the tools they need to make safe, informed, and respectful choices. Now, we've explored the myths, we've explored the facts, the progress, the gaps, and what's clear is this. When we get it right, sexual health education can protect lives, it can open minds, and build healthier communities. But when we get it wrong, or avoid it altogether, the cost is confusion, inequality, and vulnerability. So whether you're a teacher, parent, policymaker, or student, this conversation concerns you because education doesn't just happen in classrooms. It happens at kitchen tables, it happens on social media, in policy rooms, and even in shows like this. So, are we getting it right? In some places, yes, but in others, not yet. But the conversation must continue, and that's where change begins. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Gender Perspectives. I hope you had a good time because I did. Now, make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms and stay tuned to us on channel 265 on SLTV. And until I come your way next week, I am Uchenna Chimdi Oloha. Goodbye.